It's great to be with you this morning and again to be with our great friends Adam and Joey, who we're just so proud of. And 2 years ago we stood here to be part of the team that were putting you guys in and making it all official. And here we are 2 years later, and to look what you have as a community have done, and hearing the reports of last night and all the works that are happening here. It's just so exciting. And please, don't ever take it for granted. I know it's easy once you're in it just to go, well, this is the way it is. This is not normal, okay? I mean, they're not normal, but this is not normal either. And most churches in Australia, to have this in one service would be a godsend, let alone two services, and then again last night, and 100 and something at youth on Friday night, and to see what's happening here, and just like sitting with these guys over the weekend and the people that they know in the community, it's just a great healthy sign. So pray for them, pray for one another, protect what God's doing here. Don't take it for granted. I know someone else may preach a better theology for you somewhere else, or your gift can be seen somewhere else, and if that's what you feel, then great. But church is more than just about your gift or your pet theology. It's about a community of believers that know how to do life well and do it together. And I'm just so proud of these guys, and had a little word for them in the first service, which was so profound. And you can listen to the podcast to get that. Hey, this morning I wanted to share with you a message called Between the Pain and the Promise. And basically it's the story for Kathy and I of our last 11 months. And so, disclaimer, I do have a tendency to cry, but that is me. It's not just the sadness sometimes that I feel about sharing this story, because there's actually a lot of hope that we have also discovered. But for most of our lives, we've lived in suburbia, so knocks on the door and doorbell rings were common to us. Your friends, your Uber Eats, Amazon deliveries, whatever it might be. But about 3 years ago, Kathy and I moved to a rural part of northern New South Wales, where there's no knocks on the door, there's no street lights. We've got 6 acres of land, 4 horses, 2 chickens. We did have 6, but 4... KFC somewhere. And so on the early hours of April 14th of last year, when there was the doorbell chime going and the banging on the door, we woke up and obviously knew that something wasn't right. 2 police officers informed me that what no parent wants to hear, that our son Jaden had crashed his e-bike and was in... Sometimes it's hard even just saying this. And was in the ICU at the Gold Coast University Hospital, and the news isn't good. We've got a photo of our boy there somewhere, the mischievous laugh. April 17th, Jaden, our only son, passed away, and our lives have changed forever, and the lives of our daughter and her family have changed forever. And this morning I want to share what I believe is a message of hope. But it's also some revelation about, if I was any AFL lovers here? Because I'm not. So I wanted to highlight you guys early. But if I was a game of AFL, I'd be in my 4th quarter. You understand that? Yeah, that's right. That's games are won in the 4th quarter. So I have the ability now to look back over 3/4 of my life and see the hand of God over our lives. And sometimes when you're in your first quarter and you're younger and things happen, it's kind of hard to work out what is happening here. And so I want to talk to you this morning as a mature-aged man who's in the 4th quarter of his life, looking back over something that rocked our world to the very core and still is. It's our Jaden's 11-month anniversary tomorrow. And there's not a day goes by where we don't feel the sadness and the loss of our son. So I'm not standing up here as some great televangelist that's made it and is telling you all what you should be like. I'm talking to you as a broken crayon who still knows how to colour, standing up here on the stage with you. Isaiah chapter 45, verse 3 says it like this: This is God speaking to the people of Israel. And I'll give you treasures hidden in the darkness, secret riches. I will do this so you may know that I am the Lord, the God of Israel, the one who calls you by name. One of the things that really I wrestle with so much is that as I look back over my life, most of my greatest learnings have come in seasons of darkness. And I'm not sure why God seems to choose the valleys over the mountaintops to teach us about life and about his goodness and grace. But here he is talking to Israel and he says, there are treasures hidden in the darkness. And so this morning, I want to give you 3 treasures that I believe I've discovered. I'm not speaking on behalf of Kath, but certainly from me, 3 treasures that I've discovered over these last 11 months, but not just the last 11 months. These actually stretch back over our whole life. So let me give you the first one this morning. I discovered in the dark that I need a theology of both power and of pain. This is what I know, is that some people have developed a really good theology of power. And the wrestle with those who just have a theology of power is, if people don't get healed, then they tend to say it's your fault. Or you don't have enough faith. Or the church didn't pray enough. Or we should have fasted more. And I have lived with a theology of power. I was raised as a youth pastor, as Adam talked about, in the 80s. So late 80s, where it was all about the power of God, and I love the power of God, and I still believe today that God is in the business of changing lives and breaking addictions from lives, healing cancers, delivering people, restoring marriages. I wholeheartedly believe in the theology of power. But I also know this, is that when things don't go according to what I think or believe the character of God is, or what my doctrinal stance was, what do I do with that? And then what we don't want to do is what a lot of Christians have done over the years, or churches have done, is made the recipient feel like the problem. That, well, if only you had have behaved better or prayed harder, then you would have got your miracle. Now, on the flip side, not only do we need the theology of power, we also need the theology of pain. The theology of pain is when people know how to sit with people who are going through stuff and don't make them feel judged, or don't make them feel in any way in error because of what's unfolding in their life. But the problem only with having a theology of pain is that the people we're sitting with also need someone that's going to lay hands on them and say, I still believe that God's in the miracle-making business. So we don't want to just sit with the poor and broken and those in need of healing and make them feel better about themselves. We also want to be able to lay hands on them as a community and believe God for them. Folks, this morning what I'm saying is we need both a theology of power and a theology of pain. And some of you in here, all of you will lean one way more than the other. And so what I encourage you, if you are more of a person who loves the theology of power, hang around some of the pain people and allow a little bit of their empathy to rub off on you. But if you're a pain person and you know how to sit with people and love on them and look after them and cook them meals and all of that, that is beautiful. But hang with some power people. When you go to a hospital to visit one of your congregational members, take a power and a pain person together. Someone who can sit and hold hands and read Psalms over the person while the other person's walking around shouting in tongues and prophesying. You need both. And this is what I've come to realize, is that churches, not this one, but churches are quick to spread glory stories. We love the glory testimonies, but the disappointments tend to be brushed under the carpet because we don't want to disappoint anyone. But God isn't like us. God doesn't get insecure about his performance. And God never asks us to cover up for him. When our son was in the ICU ward for 4 days, on day 3, I sat with the doctor early in the morning and he said, Ross, it's not good news. We don't believe there's any brain activity in Jaden. And I said to him, his name was Peter, I said, Peter, what do you need to see? He said, I just need your son to move his finger, to blink an eyelid, to do something that shows that the brain is still has some activity. And so what Kathy and I did, along with our daughter and son-in-law, we got a hold of some of the great theology of power people we knew and got them up to the hospital room. We got in 2 musicians, and for 2 hours, we prayed, we sang, we worshiped, we laid hands on my son. He was a boxer, and so his friends brought up his boxing gloves and put them on Jaden's hand as he lay in the bed, and we prophesied, fight into our son. The nurse who early that morning, when I got to the room before anyone else was there, I got talking to her. Her name was Leah. I shared my faith with her, only to discover that she was on her own journey back to a relationship with Jesus. And she is on, as we're praying over Jaden, she's standing at the door, stopping anyone coming in, doctors and all, who would interrupt what God was doing in the room. And she's got tears streaming down her cheeks as we're laying hands on my son. I am thankful for my theology of power friends. But the day later when the doctor said, Ross, there's nothing we can do, he's gone, I'm also thankful for our theology of pain friends that sat in the waiting room for 4 days. Some of them didn't go home. They slept there 24/7. And for weeks after would send us food hampers and encouragement and phone calls. And even to today, for both Kathy and I, those friends still reach out and say, touching base, how you doing? Can we do anything for you? And the beautiful thing about the church is we need both. And I believe that in this church, a live church, that there is a grace upon this church to be a living example to the community of Bundaberg and beyond of both the theology of pain and power working, where you bring your sick, your broken, and they can be healed in this place. And while we're believing God for the healing, they'll be loved in this place. I discovered that in the dark. Both a theology of power and of pain. The second thing I discovered in the dark, that grieving my loss is both biblical and necessary. Amen. Matthew chapter 5 verse 4 in the Phillips version says this, happy are those who know what sorrow means, for they will be given courage and comfort. To grieve means to express sorrow. So when Jesus is talking, he said, when you know what sorrow actually means, then you will be given both comfort and courage. But one of our challenges is, and it's a societal challenge, is that we don't know what to do with grief. We don't know what to do with grieving people. It's kind of like, well, how do we deal with people? We just tell them to move on in their life, and are you still grieving over that season in your life? But the truth is, no one gets through life without loss. And I'm not here to be the doomsday preacher to you. I'm just living in the fourth quarter, looking back going, I've seen enough now to know that all of us in some form suffer loss. I pray that yours isn't what ours was, but there will be a loss of a dream for someone. There will be the loss of a promotion, a business. There will be the loss of health. There will be the loss of relationships where marriages or long-term dating relationships break down. There is the loss of innocence for some people. There is the inability to conceive for some couples. Financial loss. There's the loss when parents suddenly become empty nesters and your kids leave home. There can be a grief. For Kathy and I, there was celebration at that moment, but there can be a grief for many. Joshua Luke Smith, who is an author, said this, what could be worse for our children's children than the inheritance of ungrieved grief? And what happens when we don't grieve our losses properly? When as church communities, maybe we kind of just, bury it somewhere. Let me give you 2 things that happen when we don't understand that these losses must be wrestled with and must be processed. The first thing is this, is that our heart gets hard and we lose the expectation of good. We start thinking, maybe if I don't hope so much, it won't hurt so much. Failed expectation lies at the heart of every disappointment. We expect one thing and we get something else instead. And we must, as followers of Jesus, know how to grieve the painful losses of past seasons of our lives before we can effectively embrace the present and the future. In Genesis 42, verse 36, there's this great little verse where an aging Jacob is looking at his children, and at this stage he believes that Joseph, one of his sons, is dead. He's not. He's in Egypt, but he thinks he's dead. His other son, Simeon, is being held captive in Egypt, and now the Egyptians, who was actually Joseph there, wants the younger son, Benjamin, to be held in Egypt as well. And this is what happens. Jacob exclaimed, "You are robbing me of my children." This is him talking to his other sons. "Joseph is gone, Simeon is gone, and now you want to take Benjamin too? Everything is going against me." And that's kind of like the mantra. When we've been around for a while and we've heard it all, we've heard all the prophetic words, we've heard all the great sermons, we've been in the system, and we haven't seen the results, we haven't seen the answer to prayer, we didn't see the marriage get restored, we didn't see the healing take place, it's easy to get that woe is me. This is just the way it is, and we become cynical in our heart. And our heart can become hard, and we stop and we lose expectation that something good is still waiting for us in our lives. And when you go through loss, one of the challenges that we have when we go through loss is that when we don't know how to grieve it, when we don't know how to grieve our disappointments, when you've been betrayed and we don't know how to actually deal with it in a healthy way and our hurts, it will rob us of our future and impact our today. The second thing that happens when we don't grieve well is that we compartmentalize our lives, which means we smile on the outside, but we find ways to self-medicate on the inside. We spiritually bypass our pain. Often in church circles, it elicits a sort of toxic positivity. It's a kind of a collective tranquilizing under the guise of the goodness of God. And this functions like a spiritual cortisone shot that numbs the pain for a while so we can function, but it doesn't address the underlying issues of our heart. And we often bypass it with spiritual or with Christian cliches and platitudes, all of which are correct statements. We say things to grieving people like, "God is good," which is a true statement, just a really poor timing sometimes. Or God works in mysterious ways, or the Lord knows what he's doing, or God will turn it around for good. Again, all true statements. But here's the thing, if it is head knowledge only for us and not heart knowledge, when things happen in our lives and expectations don't line up with our doctrinal beliefs or what we think the character of God is, it will lay bare what you really truly believe. It will lay bare your idols. It will lay bare your values. Everything will be exposed. And we faced that in the loss of our son when we believed and believed and believed, and in the end, the miracle didn't come the way we thought it would come. It checks out every form of belief in you. Folks, what we don't want to be here in Alive Church on a Sunday is a cocktail party for successful people. Where we look good on the outside, we come in, we high five, we bless you, no, bless you more, brother. God is good all the time, bro. Highly favored, that's me. Thank you very much. And we high five, we sip our very nice coffee under our new gazebo and cemented area that will come eventually. And we go home with all of this brokenness inside us. And each person goes home too embarrassed, too ashamed to be vulnerable because no one else is. We think, well, I'm the only one that's broken. I'm the only crayon that obviously still can't draw. But when you create an environment where we know it's okay not to be okay, it's okay that we are in this place and things aren't all together. Let me tell you something. Bundaberg and beyond is aching. It is longing for a people who will take their masks off and allow themselves to be seen. And that we don't want to live in a church in shallow optimism. God is good. Well, yeah, but do you really believe that in your heart? Because if I could grab every person under the age of 21 here and wrap you in bubble wrap and spend the next 40 years of guiding you through life to protect you, my urge to every young person is, this is the stuff that if you would allow yourself to be discipled, to wrestle with now, because you will need it one day. When things don't work out the way you thought you would. I'm tired of seeing young people go, well, I thought it would be better. I'm out of the church. Because we thought that this stuff shouldn't happen to us. But we live in a broken, fallen world. So we compartmentalize our lives. Number 3 is this, as I wrap up. I discovered in the dark a strength that is only available through my weakness. The Apostle Paul again is talking in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 8. And he's pleading to Jesus. And it says, 3 times I pleaded with the Lord about this. That it should leave me. Now, Paul had what Scripture calls a thorn in the flesh. Something was hindering his life. No one knows what it is, which is a good thing. Otherwise, we'd build a whole theology and there'd be churches called after it and all that sort of stuff. So we don't know what it is. So you can put your thing in there, my thing in there. But Paul had an issue somewhere. 3 times he comes to Jesus saying, God, can you take it away? Because he felt it was preventing him from being more effective. It's almost like if this was fixed, then imagine what else I could do. And unfortunately, most of us have that mentality. If I can just be whole, then I can really be effective. But that's not the way God uses people. And so what does Jesus say back to Paul? But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you. For my power is made perfect in weakness. Now, we don't want to hear that. We want to hear Paul going, I've got an ailment, and Jesus saying, be ready at midnight tonight. I'm going to come. I'm going to bust you out of prison. I'm going to have a camel tied up on the outside, okay, with a really good-looking lady on it, and you're going to jump on the back. He wasn't married. You're going to jump on the back of the camel. You're going to race off into a sunset. You're going to build your own a unit somewhere on a hill overlooking the Sea of Galilee, and you're going to eat quinoa salads till the day you die. That's what's going to happen. Because that's our Hollywood mentality of the way life works. And what does Jesus say? Drum roll. It's like, God, I've got this ailment. God, help me. Jesus, drum roll. My grace is sufficient, Paul. It's what you need. You don't need deliverance from. I'm not going to save you from it. I'm going to save you in it. That word grace means this. The musicians can come. That's not what it means, but this is what it means. The ability and strength to endure. I wish it meant my grace will resolve the issue, overcome the circumstance for you. But it says, no. I'll give you a supernatural strength to walk through it. Duncan Campbell, who was used by God in the Hebrides revival in the 1940s and 50s, said this, let us be honest in the presence of God and get right into the grips of reality. Have I a vision of my desperate need? Oh, for a baptism of honesty, for a gripping sincerity that will move us. Joey was talking earlier about the conference coming out, Why Not Now? Our hunger to see an awakening in Australia. Let me tell you, I want to see that just as much. I want to see an awakening of honesty in the church. Awakening of honesty in pastors, awakening in honesty in environments where we can come in and go, I feel safe in this place. I don't feel because my life is in some way in a ruin that I just don't fit. I don't want to come into cocktail parties for successful people. So the ability and strength to endure. When you and I meet someone that has been through incredible tragedy in life, and we love a story of people that have endured and made it through. When they're a follower of Jesus, and you would all know people that they've just been through some stuff and they still seem to smile, they're still kind, they still, lift their hands in worship, they're still positive. You have encountered someone who has met the grace of God. Now, the struggle with this is that the world does not see weakness as something that is something we should be proud of. We see weakness as something we should overcome. And that's why on Instagram and socials, most people love following the successful person that seemingly has it all together. And good on them. But in God's ministry building of our lives, He doesn't work that way. God says, in your weakness, in your inability to make this happen, in your moment right now for Kathy and I in the last, several months where you have felt empty, and for me personally, where I felt God was a million miles away, standing behind a door that had been bolted from the inside, trying to read the Bible and getting absolutely nothing apart from tears, that God would say, Ross, that's actually where I show up the most. I don't need, look, Ross, I'm going to get glory from you, but not through the platform of your achievements, your accomplishments, your successes. I get glory from humanity through the platform of their weakness. He's always done it. You read scripture. It's never been when someone's high and mighty and God goes, now watch what I'm going to do and I'm going to get all the glory because of His greatness. It's always when there's someone insecure and broken and damaged that says, you know what, God, I need you now than ever. And when you think the book of James says that God gives grace to the humble, but He resists the proud, the thought of God resisting us because we are too proud to allow our weakness to be shown. I don't want to live my life with God resisting me. People say to Kathy and I, we can't believe what you've done. We're not superstars, folks. We're not someone that's on this soapbox that knows some special key that none of you do. And if you buy my book in the foyer, I'll have that key in there for you all. I don't have a book. It's okay. You can relax. We are normal people that have gone through deep loss and grief, but have encountered a grace that I never knew existed until now. That grace gives you the ability to put one foot in front of the other. It's the ability to get up and go one more day. Grace is the ability to love one more time even when love's not coming back. Grace is the ability to go one more day without your loved one. It's the ability to go to another baby shower even though you come home to an empty home. And I may not remove it, Jesus said, but I will give you the strength to move through it. Romans chapter 8, verse 28. It is a famous verse. It says this, and we know that all things work together for good for those who love God, to those who are called according to His purpose. If we had time to go on and read verse 29, what is God's purpose about bringing together for good is to shape us into the image of His Son. So God's bringing about good. Now, it doesn't mean what's happened in your life is good. There is nothing good about us losing our son. Nothing good. Nothing good about your diagnosis. Nothing good. Nothing good about the marital mess. Nothing good about it. But God does promise that through it all, He will take the chapters of our life as the master author and He will weave it into a book that will give Him glory one day. And in the process, we will become more like Jesus, which is ultimately what He wants. Kathy and I and Tara, soon after Jaden had passed and all the formalities, whilst we were in the ICU, actually, someone brought us a basket of food, which is a big no, another no-no in ICUs, had fruit and everything in it, and brought it into our ward, and it was just a beautiful gesture. in a time where you don't think about eating, you don't have water to drink. There are no blankets except hospital blankets, which are terrible blankets. So post the formalities for JD, we as a family thought to ourselves, why don't we, because we were so blessed through what others did for us, why don't we now form a charity that will do canvas tote bags and give to other families who are going through similar experiences. So we started a charity called Beautiful Crazy. Beautiful Crazy, the name came about because that's the way Jaden, our son, saw himself. A little bit crazy, but a beautiful crazy. And so we started this charity in 2 local hospitals. It was so well received. You can flick through the photos up there, guys. It has been so well received that now we're currently in 6 major hospitals. 5 of those are level 6 trauma wards, which is your highest trauma ward. We're about to start in Newcastle John Hunter, which is a level 6, and Townsville University, which is a level 6. Our goal is to have these bags in every level 6 hospital across Australia. Now, there's about 20 of those across Australia. They deal with, when you hear on the news they were flown to such and such hospital in a critical condition, that's your level 6 hospitals of brain trauma especially. And so these bags have got a blanket, it's got water, it's got Panadol, lip balm, chips, chocolate bars, stuff. We've also started a kids bag. So, because for the families who come up with their small children, so there's something for the kids to actually get while they're sitting with their loved one in hospitals. I'd love it if you jump on, follow us on Instagram and give us some shouts out at Beautiful Crazy _ I think you call it, on Instagram. Got a whole bunch of stuff going on. But I say that because when grace is upon you and when you have discovered a supernatural ability and strength even amongst your loss, it's amazing what you can still do. 2 psychologists in the 90s coined a term called post-traumatic growth, where they investigated and researched people who through their trauma actually grew and went on and did significant things. And they asked these 2 questions, and we'll wrap up with this. They said, who would I be if I changed and grew with this loss? It's a good question to ask yourself, no matter what loss you've been through. If I change and grow with the loss of our son, who will I be in the future? And secondly, and more importantly, who will I be if I don't change and grow? And that one scares me. And I want to say to you this morning, all of us will walk through something, but there is a grace that is available that is always found in the dark places. And I don't know what it is that you've been walking through, what you've come out of, or what you're about to go in. But my promise to you this morning is, God may not keep it from you, but He will be with you. His grace is sufficient for you, for His power is made perfect. His strength is made perfect in our weakness. This morning as I close, I want to ask for anyone in this place that right now doesn't have a relationship with Jesus Christ. And maybe you've never encountered that grace. Maybe you've come with a friend, a family member, and you've rocked up and you've got this middle-aged man talking about the loss of his son. I hope that you have seen vulnerability of this is what a life walking with Jesus can look like. That you can walk through anything and God promises that He'll be with you every step of the journey. You won't be alone. And so this morning, I want to make an opportunity for anyone in this place, and you say, Ross, I don't have a relationship with God this morning, but I would like to start one. Or I would like to at least start to inquiring about a relationship with Jesus. So if you'd all close your eyes with me this morning, and as I look across, if that's you, and you say, hey Ross, I want to know what it is to have a relationship with Jesus Christ, while eyes are closed, and as I look across, I'd love you just to lift your hand up in the air and say, hey Ross, that's me this morning. I want to know what it is to have a relationship with Jesus Christ. Would you do that? Thanks, bro. Over there, you can put it down. Who else this morning? You want to join that man and go, you know what? I don't have that. I want to know what that grace is like. I want to have a relationship with Jesus like that. quickly, as I look across, slip that hand in the air and go, Ross, that's me this morning. I don't want to miss out on this opportunity. I thank you for that hand over there. Thank you. You can put it down. Who else is there this morning? Just slip it up and go, you know what? That's me this morning. I want to join those two people and I want to give my life to Jesus Christ. I want to know that I have a relationship with a God who deeply loves me. Last time, as I look across this morning, I don't want to miss anyone in this place. Wonderful. Can we do this then together? Can we stand together? And I'm going to hand back to Adam in a moment. But this is what I'd love to do this morning as I actually do close and get off this platform, is I want to open up the altar for anyone this morning that says, hey, would you pray with me? Now, I don't need to know your story because we don't have enough time for that. But I want to pray that you would encounter God's supernatural strength to endure, the grace of God upon your life. So whatever it is that you're walking through, that there would be a strength that you encounter that is God's grace that will be with you every single day. And I want to pray with you this morning. So while the band lead us in a worship song, I'd love you just to slip on out of your seat. Come and stand up the front here and we're going to come along and pray with you this morning. Then Adam's going to close and dismiss us all.